This is Genuine Connections, featuring collaborative conversations about community, content, creativity, commerce, and the convergence of media and marketing.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of Genuine Connections. I'm Matt Wurst, the CMO at Genuine, and today we're going to be talking with Eric Sheinkop, who is the CEO of the Desire Company. And we're going to talk about and dig really deep into what's happening in retail media, commerce media, but also where that sits at the intersection of creativity and culture and actual conversion. And it now depends on the authenticity of that content, of the creators, and how all of the players in this ecosystem come together and how they use technology and product to affect and impact change with consumers. So let's jump right into it and welcome Eric to Genuine Connections. Eric, welcome to Genuine Connections, which is our Genuine podcast. I am really grateful that you've agreed to join us, but also excited to talk with you and learn with you in this setting, because we've known each other for a little while now, but I don't think we've ever spent this much time talking. So you sure
We
you know
had
what you're getting into, right?
many conversations we had at conferences around the country before we got into business talk. So I'm excited to do this and get into the nitty gritty of it all.
Yeah, and again, as I said, I'm excited to learn from you and learn more about what you and the Desire Company are getting into, because you've built companies that sit at this intersection of culture and commerce and even into technology as it's evolved in the creator space and the creative space. What's been a common thread across your career that led you to the Desire Company, and also just tell us like what it is that you do?
Sure. So just, quickly what we do is we create very purposely built content for commerce, very specifically for commerce at all points. The way that we do that is by having these incredible experts, whether they're nutritionists or veterinarians or Olympic athletes or NASA astronauts, whoever's right to really talk about the product and explain it in a very educational way. Those are the people that we partner with the brands, and we bring them into the studio. We create the content purpose built for, if it's CTV, if it's PDP, if it's search and display. But what's been the common thread, what got me here, is I've always helped brands find very unique talent and partner with very, very unique, specific, hard to reach, incredibly valuable, but underrepresented talent. So, as an example of that, my first company, we were the largest provider of music to Disney, McDonald's, HBO, Viacom, Coca-Cola. Sold part of that company to Coca-Cola eventually. And the reason was I was able to find all of the upcoming hottest acts, get them all pre-cleared, signed, and had the largest community in the world of musicians that were pre-cleared for commercial use. So being able to find the right musicians for global campaigns, or again, purpose-built localization of different campaigns, was the success there. And then with the Desire Company, we did something very similar, but instead of just musicians, we have now created the world's largest community of cross-disciplinary experts. So we did start in the musician space, but it was Beyonce's team and Rihanna's team and Pink's team. And instead of Beyonce, we got Beyonce's nutritionist, her chef, her personal trainer, her physical therapist, her choreographer, her makeup artist, her hairstylist, her runway stylist, her red carpet stylist. And then we partner them with brands to talk about why they like the product, how to use it, and who it's recommended for. And we do that for brands of all types, from beauty to electronics to food to pet, and it lives all throughout the digital world.
So you have the culture piece of this down, right? All you have to do is mention Beyonce and Rihanna, and we're all going to believe you. The commerce and sort of this retail media expertise that you've developed, both personally because I follow your content and I learn a ton every single day, but also the company and what you're creating has shaped and played a role in shaping retail and this commerce media experience. How
Absolutely.
do you see the company fitting into the shift that we're seeing from traditional retail to these commerce media ecosystems?
I think the right word that you said is the expertise that we've developed, because retail media is moving at the speed of light. At the same time, it's moving at the speed of molasses. But in terms of implementation, but in terms of the excitement, the offerings, the opportunities, the expansion, being able to incorporate AI into the first person data to deliver the most personalized custom content for your consumer, to experience your product beyond what's traditionally been available to them, that is something that is rapidly moving. Um, we did not get into this industry or game knowing what retail media was or would become. We did it for the experts and the brands. And perfecting that was the first part of this. Then working on the right type of content. Okay, we're going to partner you with the exact right expert for your brand. Now let's think about what does that content look like that's actually going to move the needle for you as a brand. Social media influencers exist. That's not our space. We don't work with influencers. Um, it wasn't something we're trying to replace. We think that it has a very strong, meaningful, um, uh, value to brands in terms of awareness, even driving traffic. But we felt strongly that there was a gap and there was something missing for the consumer when they first became aware of your product to, okay, I'm ready to convert. So focusing on that, what is the content that leads to conversion and makes the consumer truly like happy and look at the brand as a, hey, thank you very much for providing this extra information, because the consumer's usually left do their own research, do their own third-party research about what does this product really do? What do people really think about it? How does it really work? What are the results that I could actually expect? That's always left up to the consumer. So that's the gap that we filled with experts. And then it just so happened that we fell into the world of retail media because retailers started reaching out and saying, hey, you did some amazing content for a brand that we carry. We would like to use that content on our PDP. That's where it started. And at that point, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting thing. You pay for that. And they're like, yeah, we charge the brand to place it on our PDP. Okay. So that was a light bulb moment for us. And we started learning more about retail media. And then, well, they don't just charge brands to put it on their PDP, they charge brands to put it on CTV. They charge brands to put it on, in search. They charge brands for Google search. They charge brands for all types of things that your traditional advertising agencies used to do, media agencies used to do, and we fill the void of what creative agencies used to do. And now that retailers are taking more control and saying, let us do your content because we know who the shopper actually is, where they are at any moment, whether they're on our site, what they're watching, whatever it might be. It's very creepy, but it's just the truth. Um, and that's how we really got into perfecting the offering for retailers. And it's been significant. Most retailers are able to make 7 figures, on the low end 6 figures a week, by offering our services, which is pretty amazing.
So is content that converts, right? Driving conversion is clearly a priority and a focus. And we've kind of moved past referring to the funnel as a framework and a model, but clearly you're focused on content in that perspective. So from your vantage point, I'd be curious what formats, reviews, tutorials, live video, I don't know, UGC, like what's delivering the highest impact for brands right now in the retail media space?
Well, I think it's exactly finding the right mixture of those, right? Like, if you put a review video on your website, you will get a 62, especially ours, the data that we have, 62% more time on that page than people typically spend, because they're sitting there watching the video, they're learning about the product, they're being engaged and educated is what they're actually looking for. Purchase confidence goes up 300% when you have an expert talking about a product rather than the brand advertising a product. So it's a very different psychological effect on the shopper. Um, and what we're that's where we started. That's having a great effect, but the how to's are really important. And not only do how to's get somebody to buy and be like, yep, that's what I'm looking for, easy enough, I know what to expect, but then them sending a longer how to video after you make a purchase and getting that in your email, it reduces returns significantly. We don't have enough historical data yet to really understand the full impact, but they believe it's around 40% reduction in returns when you send out our how-to videos. And people have been going through that funnel or that flywheel. They became aware either through one of our videos or an influencer videos or your traditional ad. They get educated at the point of purchase. They feel confident enough to click and convert, and then they get that how-to in an email or on a QR code in your package or whatever that delivery system might be, and that reduces the returns. So throughout the entire ecosystem, when you ask what's the most effective type of content that we're seeing, I really think that it's a healthy blend of the right type of content at the right time, and that changes depending on the channel that they're on as well, which is why I say, very intentionally, that this is purpose-built content for commerce, because it changes and it's altered depending on the state of the consumer. And just to go a little deeper on that, like when you're watching TV and a commercial comes on, you're looking down, right? You immediately go on your phone, you go on a second device. When you're on social media and a television commercial comes onto your phone, you'd completely ignore it. So you have to have purpose-built content for where the consumer is in, psychologically at that moment. And that's why everything that we do is built on neuroscience. That was one of the most important foundational elements of the content that we created, and what informed us on finding the right type of content for conversion is really we continue to do regular neuroscience testing. We're doing several different ones right now for new types of content that we're developing for different retailers. So really having the consumer in mind first and foremost, what's going to give them the education or the confidence that they need to convert, that's what informs all the content that we create.
I love that the creativity is rooted in science. I know you guys are heavy into the data as well. I saw a recent survey that you guys had completed with consumer brands, right? And it showed that, I don't remember the exact number, but somewhere around 40% said they somewhat believe that it's driving effectiveness, and only 20% like highly trust retail media. So if there is this gap, I mean, it's good, it's effective, but there's still room for improvement. What does that trust gap tell us about how brands should be approaching content creation and curation in this ecosystem?
Yeah, and I think the curation is a very important part too, because brands cannot just speak to the consumer as a brand. People need third party validation. That's the most important aspect of anything. You could tell me something, but if it's your brand and you're selling it to me, there's going to be some skepticism, um, or just downright, I don't believe it. When you see a massive celebrity talking about a product, you know that they were paid a ton of money. So they're going to say whatever the brand wants them to say. So that doesn't really count as third party. That's the brand advertising to you. When somebody who initially had to go and start doing, they would look at your product on a website, and then they would go and start doing research. They would go to Reddit, they would go to Google, they would go to YouTube, and they would look for this third party validation. When you're able to put that at the point of sale, it makes all the difference. The problem is you can't just take anything that you find and curate it and place it on your website, because it's really low quality the majority of the time. The type of content we create is not UGC. We take them to the studio. It's all television broadcast quality, regardless of the platform that you're going to view it on. And what that does is it actually matches the brand standards that the retailer has. These retailers put hundreds of millions of dollars into their online shopping experience. They're not just going to throw some wacky social media content up there. It doesn't match not only the aesthetic but the emotion that they want you to feel of trust when you come to that retailer's
It's
website.
integrity. Yeah, of course.
Integrity.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to curation. Like a lot of brands are thinking like, okay, cool, let's just curate everything that we can find online, any mentions about our brand, and that's actually not helping the consumer. The consumer loses trust in the brand even more because they have to spend more time filtering through and finding what's actually valuable. The best thing um, that the brand could actually do, the retailer could actually do, is highly curate, not just curate, but highly curate, and not just the 5-star reviews, but real information. Like we find that in our videos, if somebody's like, I wish the product did this, but if these are the results that you're looking for, this product is perfect for you. People trust that so much more, and you're never going to hear that in a brand commercial or in a brand endorsement of any kind.
One of the things that I think a lot about is product influencing content and content influencing product, right? I have an agency background. I've been in the tech space, and these worlds really have collided and converged, maybe is the better term, more than ever. Given where we are at with social channels and e-commerce, and you talked about putting the consumer experience first, how much do you think brands really own their audience in the communities today? Like, and do they want more control? What would it take for them to have more control?
Sadly, I don't think the majority of brands, the vast majority, they don't own their 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 audience. They rent it. They rent it from Facebook, Meta, Twitter, or X. I'm being
Big
old
social,
school.
big social air quotes. Yeah,
I'm being old school with all the names, but
yeah.
anything social, you rent it from Amazon. You even rent it from every retailer because you have to pay for the search results. You have to pay to be, brought top of mind, top of the list. Everything you have to pay to reach the audience. So you are renting it. You don't own it. I'll give you an example of brands that actually do a great job of turning it and owning it. And to your question of do they want to own more? Absolutely. Um,
Well, how I guess is also part of the question, but yes.
yeah, and I think the how is like one of my favorite examples. It's a company called Maven, and they do wigs, hair extensions, hair care, and instead of just paying to advertise it on the Walmarts of the world and Amazon and everything else and pay for more visibility, what they decided to do is they engage us to do educational content for salon owners, for people who had just bought a wig and they need to know how to maintain it at home. Like these wigs are really expensive. This is a big, big, big market. And hair care, how to do it. So instead of people going online and searching on YouTube, and the only way they would find their products is if they sponsor it on YouTube and pay. They have a destination now that people are able to come to and watch videos and just learn. They're not selling anything in these videos, they're just educating them on the product. And what that creates is actually an owned audience where the audience is directly coming to them regardless of which retailers they're paying. Yes, they have to spend money to reach them in the first place, but once they start coming, they're able to they're able to own that audience. They're able to own the first party data, which is the only thing that retail media is the ability to connect with a very specific audience based on the first person data that these retailers have. The truth of the matter is most retailers uh, wouldn't be as relevant um, or be able to demand money from brands the way that they are today without that first party data. So it's a total new resurgence of power for retailers. And that's wonderful. But it's all based on them having that audience data. So the more that you can get somebody to your site by just offering education on the products that they're interested in or that they just bought, the more you're able to own that as a brand and take control of that audience as well.
And when you're working with this talent, these creators, these experts, these educators, right, in your network, we've often talked about how the product is the star sometimes, um, but how do you ensure the product itself, whether it's the brand's website or the content as the product or the product they're selling, how do you ensure that that's remains central in the user's journey rather than like sidelined by the social platform?
Right. So I think that's the difference between most influencer content is theirs is very like the product is the background. The product is, you know, wow, I just discovered this new protein ice cream. It's so great. Whatever. Like it's just like, or they're in the gym and they're incorporating it into their lifestyle. What we do differently is use case scenarios, true use case scenarios. So a makeup artist will say, I was, dressing Charlize Theron for the, whatever
Red
carpet
carpet
gala.
event, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I used. This is why I used this. I wouldn't use this in a print shoot, but I would use this on red carpet because XYZ. Here's how to use it. Here are the results that you could expect. Here's who I recommend it for. So everything is use case, which puts the product front and center. It's based on um, their their professional life, their professional world, but it's all about the function of the product, and I think that's the major difference.
When we talk with our partners and customers and prospects and others in the industry, the word that I feel like I hear a lot now, and if it was a drinking game, I'd probably not be coherent very often when it comes to video and content, especially, is immersive, right?
Sure.
Immersive video experiences. How do you think about creating content that feels immersive as opposed to just another piece of content?
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like content is wallpaper right now. It's you have so much of it. You're just breezing through it, flying through it. And if there's too much on a PDP, you're just not interested. It's exhausting. So relevance is what's immersive. Relevance is what will get people to lean in. They want to learn. They want to be educated. And again, that they want to be educated by a third party, and a third party expert makes a massive difference. I would say the main difference uh, is when content is an interruption in what you're doing, or it's actually a destination, or it's value driven. Is the main difference of immersion versus just okay, get through the commercial. Like I'm done with this. I see it even with my 3.5-year-old. Like when you know I'm not proud of this, but when we're at dinner and it's not going well, and I give him the YouTube to the iPhone, the YouTube, when a commercial comes on that's just a regular ad, like he gets very frustrated. When it's actually an immersive experience of like, check out this toy. Here's how here's what I'm doing with it. You're able to make all types of different
It
ramps
feels
out of it.
continuous, right? There's a continuity. Yeah.
Exactly. And he watches the commercial just as he would watch the show. So it's about relevance and it's about adding value at every step.
Yeah, we use the term contextual continuity now in our product and with our partners, where the context in which you're viewing and engaging and experiencing the content is one thing. If you could design a story or tell a story where a user, a viewer, a consumer seamlessly kind of picks up where they left off,
Yeah.
on one device and platform to another, is that part of the storytelling? Like what could that unlock for your partners and customers?
Yeah. That's like the North Star, right? Like that's perfection. When somebody's made aware of a product, influencer ad doesn't matter, but again, that first party data, the retailer knows I watched it, I saw it, I'm familiar with the product. They see if I engaged a little bit. If they did, it's worth hitting me on Roku, you know, Hulu,
Mhm.
Netflix, any of the streaming platforms while I'm watching. but the content needs to again be that next part of the journey for me. It's not awareness. I already am aware that the product exists and I've shown some interest. Now I want to learn. I want to learn more about it. So if you're able to hit me with that, and again, purpose built for, if it's social, if I'm looking on Google, if I'm watching television, whatever it might be, if you're able to hit me at the right time with purpose built content that continues that journey, um, best case scenarios is the same expert that made me aware of it. Now they're educating me. It will drive traffic. It gets you to the PDP. On the PDP, it's way more because again, and it would be different content if this is the first time that you're going to the PDP, or if they know that I'm familiar and I've seen a couple of different pieces from them already. And that content is relevant to me. It educates me. It brings me deeper into feeling confident about this product, and a small how-to. So I'm totally confident. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And I feel confident that I'm going to be able to use it. Purchase, boom. I get back, I get home, I get an email. Congratulations on your new purchase. Here's a how-to video so you know how to set it up, so you know how to get the most value out of it. You've got me. Like, that's the best case scenario. We prefer and recommend when it's the same expert that takes you through that journey. But the important part, and this is where a lot of brands or retailers get it wrong, is a lot of times they're just going to be repurpose the exact same content. And that doesn't work. That's not effective.
It's
So
the
it
journey
is,
stops, right? You feel like you've gotten everything out of that relationship because there's
yeah.
nothing new to offer
And if
or
there's
get
nothing
at.
new to offer, I'm not going to actually purchase. I'm going to look at other competing brands or different products in the
Right.
space.
Well, just to prove that we are late Q3 2025 having this conversation, uh, the state of AI and where it is, where it's come. I mean, even in just since the beginning of the year alone, the progress in so many ways is interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, from that survey that I referenced earlier, where you guys were talking to those CPG brands and advertisers, you pointed out, or they pointed out certain opportunities, chatbots, enhanced in-store IRL activations, certain add to cart features. Which of these do you think is having the biggest near-term impact on how consumers engage, or may in the next 6 to 12 months, as far as like products?
Yeah.
What's And maybe a better way of asking the question is, what is underhyped and what is like maybe misunderstood or overhyped? Like, where do you see the different technology falling in that spectrum?
Okay, great question. I think AI is misunderstood. I
As a
think
whole,
that
just umbrella.
as a whole,
Okay.
with retailers and retail media specifically, I think they thought it was going to be this treasure trove, this treasure chest that all they have to do is open the box and everything is going to be better and faster and smarter and make them more money and margins are going to go up. And I think people are feeling really deflated by how much time they've had to invest in every different AI platform, learning about it, understanding what it could do. The implementation is not easy. The personalization, the language modeling is not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of data going through it. It's hard to find the right teams to do that for you. And I think the time thing is the most misunderstood aspect. So I've heard retailers say that they don't even want to hear about AI hype right now because it's wasting so much internal time and not moving them in just the basics that get the job done. Every retailer is still trying to change their earning projections coming out of COVID. A lot of them have not adjusted. So there's a lot of pressure. So anything that doesn't move the needle quickly and can't be implemented quickly is not worth them concentrating on at the moment. Um, that being said, there's some of the things that you mentioned are fantastic. And if one person could take ownership of it and implement small little pieces here and there while you're starting to build that bigger understanding, or those AI capabilities, which will take time regardless, that's great. I think the one area that we're really excited, like we use AI a lot internally, but it takes time. we have enough historical data of how we match brands with experts that's a place that where we've implemented. So it's a very quick process to match the right expert with the right brand, to recommend those experts to the brands. You see the brand's excitement because it's just so perfect for them, and that is AI capabilities. Um,
So
but we're
personalization, that's driving efficiencies and quality of matching and output, but also building in that way as a result user trust.
Absolutely. But so internally also, like, we have all of our neuroscience data. So we've been training models on that to help us edit faster. Taking an 8-hour shoot day, which we're doing every day, and getting it down to the 1 minute of content that's going to be the most valuable. That's a lot of time. AI is really helping us significantly. And that's processes that we're building, and language models and things that we're building internally. Where I see it having the most effect and where I'm most excited and where I think it's actually underhyped is with the personalization that you just mentioned. But it's not personalization that the way people, I think, have been thinking about personalization. It's not about me going to bestbuy.com and it's saying, "Hey, welcome back, Eric." Like, that doesn't excite me. That's not personalization. Personalization is connecting me with the right expert for me. That's actually going to engage me. That's going to immerse me based on their use case scenarios. An example of that, we have a client, OmniCharge. It's a charger, and a portable charger. It charges your computer, your phones, everything. It's very powerful. It's very unique on the market. But what we've done, instead of just going mass market and doing, a couple of videos about the charger, we have done it with paramedics, rock climbers, or outdoor enthusiasts, musicians who are using it in their van while they're on tour to record, and to power their entire recording setup. Um, there, we've done, I think it's 32 different experts with this charger, and AI helps you get that content in front of a very niche audience that they care about that. They emotionally connect with that, which is true immersion. And all of a sudden they're looking at that brand with like, wow, this brand is for me. That's personalization, and that's where AI could change the game. If again, like, if a retailer knows that I saw something on social and then I'm watching Paramount Plus and one of the commercials comes on, and it's a continuation of the experience that I had on social, but the next level, that's personalization. And that's where they're going to win. And that's available now. And I think that's super underhyped.
Wow. Okay. Very, very interesting. Um, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that you have your own incredible podcast and thought leadership where you talk with innovative, impactful leaders in the space. As far as themes or takeaways or areas that you focused on and just great learnings, like, you don't have to name names unless you want to, but like, what's one big final takeaway for maybe
Yeah.
something you learned from your podcast? Like, if there's one thing media, content, product leaders should rethink about or think about with respect to content or commerce,
Yeah.
lay it
So,
on
yeah,
us.
so Tap Into an Expert, podcast all about retail media. And we've had, I don't mind mentioning the names because I'm very honored that they spend their time with us. But, Kiri Masters and Andrew Lipsman and Lauren Livick Gilbert and Rick Ton, Chris Perry, Drew Cashmore, like all these wonderful minds in this space. If I was going to distill it all down to one thing where they keep coming back to, that retailers need to focus on for retail media, is the shopper value. What is this, at the end of the day, improving the experience for the shopper? I think the truth of the matter is, um, retailers, they have to get this right. This is their last chance of being relevant, because there's no reason why everything we don't buy is an Amazon Basics or the equivalent directly from a factory. Um, this is the opportunity for retailers to have meaning and meaningful relationships with everyday consumers and own that audience, and own the space that they've had since I was a little kid, which is in danger of fading. fading relatively rapidly. So making sure that every decision that they make is really going to create more value for the shopper. That's the overall theme that I've personally taken away.
Wow, is this brand's last stand? I feel like we should get up on our chairs, wave the flag, defend the brand in whatever way we can. What's amazing to me is you were able to distill all of that without having to put any of it into an AI LLM to give you the perfect answer. You did that with your own brain. So,
I would I'd be curious what ChatGTP would say if I took everything and I was like, give me the one correlating theme. But I'm gonna do that actually now. We'll see if I got it right.
well, no matter what, your answer is right
Thank
because
you.
it's your answer and you are the expert and you have that knowledge, that expertise, that visibility. And look, I just appreciate you sharing that with us, with our listeners, with our community. But I am glad you're a vocal leading leader in it, in this community, because
You as
your
well,
voice.
and we need to get you on the on Tap Into an Expert. We're starting the next season pretty soon, so we'll get you in there.
I appreciate reciprocity as always. Look, we talk about value exchange. If I can bring value to your shopper, then who am I to say no?
Absolutely.
All right, Eric, thanks again for your time, for your expertise, your wisdom here, and look forward to seeing you at an event, conference, or maybe even just in a supermarket aisle at some point in the future.
Yeah. Matt, pleasure as always. Thank you for having me on, and yeah, look forward to hanging soon.
All right, thanks.